Hello my loves and welcome or welcome back to my channel. I should say welcome back to me because it's been a while. It's been a really long time since I last filmed anything or uploaded anything and I'm very sorry about that. Life got in the way and I was away for a while, but now I am back. So I've just been on Goodreads and looking at the reading challenge and it's not ideal. I'm 9 books behind schedule and that's a lot given that I only planned on reading 40 books this year. So I am here with a TBR for July, which I'm aware that we're basically halfway through July at this point. Yeah, more than halfway through July, but am I going to do a TBR anyway? Yes, I am. So I think the way that I'm going to do TBRs going forward is just picking a bunch of books that I might want to read and then sort of mood picking between those books and going with what I feel. So I'm not planning on reading all of these books that are in this TBR. They're just books that I want to get to this month and hopefully will. So it's going to be a largish pile for me and we're just going to go from there. I'm going to start with 2 books that have been on my TBR list for most of this year, honestly, at this point. I'm hoping I can get through them this month because it's just getting ridiculous at this point. So we are going to start off with The Inheritance Game, and that is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. From what I've heard, this is very similar vibes to Knives Out, which I adored. So if it's similar to that, then I'm absolutely going to love it. It's about a teenage girl whose mum has died, and suddenly this billionaire who also has died leaves all of his money to this teenager who he's never met, and she's never met him, and his entire family is freaking out because some random, I think 15, 16-year-old girl is now the heiress of their entire empire, and yeah, chaos ensues. It sounds really good. I feel like it should be really good and I should really enjoy it. Again, I've heard it compared to Knives Out so many times and I loved that film, so in theory I should love this as well. Next up we have the one, the only, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This has been on my TBR for so long. I started reading it, I don't even know how many months ago, and I sort of like gave up a bit, I guess. So I got 80 pages in and then stopped reading it. Why? Who knows? Honestly, no idea. This is set in a post-apocalyptic world in which the United States has been divided into 12 districts, and to commemorate the big rebellion thing that happened in the war, children from each district are sent into the Hunger Games to fight to the death. So it's just super wholesome, super lovely, and I am of course joking because it's super dark. The films are some of my favorite films ever. They're my absolute go-to comfort films. So I should love this book and I should have devoured it and gotten through it really quickly. And I didn't because it's now been like 2-3 months and I'm on page 80 still. So I really want to get through this month because I'm losing the will to live. Just seeing it sat there and me not wanting to pick it up is a little bit soul destroying, so I really need to get through this. Now I know it's not exactly fall and we still have like a month or so before we can really start getting into the cozy vibes of like fall and, you know, all the nice things, but I kind of wanted to get into like a witchy vibe and potentially start slowly turning into fall vibes, and for that I've got The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana, and this is supposed to be like a really cute, cozy fiction vibes about a girl who is a witch, and she basically gets recruited to go and teach these 3 kids that live in like an orphanage kind of place how to be witches and how to control their powers. And I think it's very much so like found family. I think there's a bit of romance in there, which is very exciting. And it's supposed to be just very cute, cozy vibes. I'm a little bit nervous about this one because I'm not sure if I like cozy vibes in books. I think I like action, and a few that I've read which have been described as cozy vibes, I've just been really bored. So I'm going into this with an open mind and like an open heart, and I'm hoping I'm gonna love this because it sounds really cute, but I don't know how it's gonna go. So let me know what you thought if you read it, because why does my brain think that cozy equals boring? I know, I can't believe it either, but I'm hoping I'm gonna love it, but I might not. Next up, to, you know, break up all the books that I've got a graphic novel, and I always read a volume in the summer, and I've done that like for the last 2-3 years, which is really weird, but it is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. Now, Heartstopper Volume 1, because I don't want to spoil any of the other volumes, is about a boy who falls in love with someone else in his form class, and it's just the cutest little romance, and the representation's great. And I'm sure you will have all heard of Heartstopper on Netflix, like the TV show's super cute. And the last one that I read, it tackled a lot of much darker issues that I wasn't anticipating, so I'd probably check the trigger warnings and content warnings for each volume going into it. And I'm intrigued to see how it's going to continue. I'm hoping it lightens up a little bit, just because the things it tackled were really heavy for me personally. So I just want it to get back to being cute and lighthearted and fun, but Heartstopper is adorable, and if you haven't read it, I would highly, highly recommend. The next physical book, and I should say the last physical book on the TBR list, is a chunky one, and it's one that I've been meaning to get to for a very long time, and I keep putting it off because A, it's so chunky, B, it's really intimidating because it's the first book in a series and it's a very popular series, and it's just very intimidating, and I don't have a C, but it's just chunky and intimidating, and that is House of Earth and Blood, which is the first book in the Crescent City series by good old Sarah J. Maas. I don't honestly know too much about this, and that's because it's so popular that I assume I've already seen multiple spoilers, but because I don't know too much about it, it probably hasn't clicked that I know the spoilers. So this is about Bryce, who lives in Crescent City amongst angels and shifters and fae and humans, and one day someone murders her close friend, and this is her trying to catch the guy, I believe, something along those lines. I don't know, but if I read this and then I read the other two books, then I can reread ACOTAR, which is my entire aim of trying to get through all the Sarah J. Maas books. So I don't want spoilers, don't tell me anything about this. I need to get this started because it's going to take me a while to get through this and the other two books because they're all so chunky. Like, they're unnecessarily chunky in my opinion at this point, but I just need to get through this. So alongside my physical TBR, I like to also have something on Kindle and audiobooks on the go as well. Honestly, at this point, I'm probably more of an audiobook girly because it means I can do other things while I listen to the audiobooks, but it is sometimes a little bit more difficult if it's the first book in a new fantasy series and I'm like, what is going on? But on audiobook currently, I have Fourth Wing on the go by Rebecca Yarros, I want to say. I'm hoping I've pronounced that correctly. But I've got Fourth Wing on the go, and I know I finally started it after seeing it literally everywhere. It's just been all over the internet for such a long time, and I'm so excited to finally read it because I think I'm gonna love it. Like, it's got dragons, what more could I possibly want? Fourth Wing is about a girl called Violet who has studied her entire life to go into the scribe quadrant, and basically her mum's like, absolutely not, that's not gonna happen, you're gonna be a dragon rider instead. So she gets set in to be one of the riders, but it is a war college that she has to go to, and it's super difficult, and people are like dying left, right and center, and everyone's killing everyone because there's a very limited number of dragons that are willing to bond with human riders. And basically it's pure chaos. I also think there's romance in there, and I think it's enemies to lovers, which, like, chef's kiss is the most superior type of romance, in my opinion. So I'm so excited to read this because, like I say, enemies to lovers, it's got dragons and people are killing each other. What more could you want? And lastly on the list, on the Kindle, I have A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. Now, this is a Hades and Persephone inspired story, and it is in fact my first Hades and Persephone inspired story, so I'm super excited to get a proper introduction to these characters because I know that Hades and Persephone is such a popular retelling and inspiration for a lot of stories, and I don't know a lot about these characters. Hades is obviously the god of the underworld, and Persephone is the goddess of spring. And A Touch of Darkness is about when the gods all came down to earth and they basically are just sort of living amongst humans a little bit, and they have businesses and places have names like New Athens and that kind of vibe. It's all very Greek mythology inspired, obviously. And our girl Persephone does not actually have any powers, and she somehow gets roped into a deal with Hades in which he will have her soul if she doesn't make something grow in the underworld, which would have been fine except that she doesn't have any powers and she can't make anything grow. So she's a bit stuck. And I believe it's obviously a romance is going to ensue between the two of them. I don't know how, but I'm excited. I'm here for the vibes. It's going to be great. I don't know how this month I've ended up with multiple first books in a series on the TBR. So we've got House of Earth and Blood, which is the first book in a series, A Touch of Darkness, which is the first book in a series. We have The Inheritance Games, which is the first book in a series, and we have Fourth Wing, which is the first book in a series. Oh, and The Hunger Games, which is the first book in a series. Am I starting 5 separate series in this? That's... oh boy. But like I said, before I freak myself out with this TBR, it's a TBR, and then I'm gonna let the vibes choose what I want to read. So I have already technically started The Hunger Games and Fourth Wing, so we'll just see how it goes, basically. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a big ol' thumbs up. Let me know in the comments, which of these have you read? Which series do we think I should prioritize? And what do we think I'm gonna like more? I'm very conflicted at this point, but thanks again for watching. Hit the subscribe button so you can find out what I thought of the series once I'm done reading them, and I will keep you updated, and I'm filming a reading vlog as we speak, so lots of fun things are coming. I'm getting back on my YouTube game. Thanks again, and I'll see you very soon for another video. Bye!